Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum students. This is my first video and welcome in Zimel's tuition class. And we will discuss the first chapter, that is fundamental of chemistry. By the name you can think about that, but I will like to discuss chemistry. In that way you will not bore, or sometimes students get too much stress about chemistry because they thought that it is very difficult, but when you concentrate on the chemistry you will never take it too difficult. So let's start. So let's learn chemistry with fun. Welcome in Zimmel's chemistry class. This video is basically for grade 9, and in this video inshallah we will discuss what is chemistry, the importance of chemistry in our daily life, and the branches of chemistry. If we talk about the chemistry, then basically chemistry, when first of all when we go to define any term you have to analyze the term. So by analysis we will get the idea that chemistry is consists of two terms, that chemi and mystery. So by the term chem you can think about the chemicals, and mystery you can take it the science in which we deals chemicals. But you should know that chemistry basically depend upon the matter, because not only on earth, not only the solid, but liquid and gases are also included in the reaction, so they react with each other. So we can say that the science in which we deals the chemical or chemical properties of matter. Let's make it easy too much. By definition, the definition that is written in your book is that the science that deals with the properties, composition and structure of substances, the transformations that undergo, and the energy that is released or absorbed during these processes. First of all, you should know that what is the difference between the properties, composition and structure of substances, and what are the substances. As I told you that we deals matter in chemistry, so what we have to do, we have to learn the properties, composition and structure of substances. Then properties means, if I talk about the metal, then the metals has the property they look brighter than the non-metals, so it's their property that metals look brighter than non-metals. So this is the property of metal. For example, if I'm talking one tree and I make a competition of for this tree to the other tree, then the first tree I can say like that the first tree is taller than the other one, so the taller is the property of the first tree. So just like that we will discuss the properties of the matter. Molecules that are present in solid are so much close to each other, so it is the property of solid. But if I talk about the liquid, then in liquid the molecules are far away, just like the gases in which the molecules are too far away from each other. So these are the properties. If I talk about the composition, then composition means our matter is made up of which type of components. For example, if I talk about the metal, then I can say that it consists of the electrons. It is its composition. For example, if I talk about the glass, then what is the composition of the glass? Composition of the glass means glass is made up of sodium and silicate solutions. So components means, composition means that what type of components are merged together to form a matter. And let's move towards the structure. For example, if you see the structure of benzene, then benzene is hexagon. Why? Because its structure is consist of 6 carbon that are arranged in 6 hexagonal structure. So it is a structure of matter. So here is the difference between the properties, composition and structure, and we will discuss all of the things of any matter in chemistry. Now here it is also written that the transformations they undergo and the energy that is released or absorbed during these processes. For example, when we react to circle each other, and if they are forming triangle, then it is their transformation. Sometimes I think you have already performed practicals in your lab. You have watched that when we mix two chemicals together, if they are colored, after some time their color will disappear due to the reaction. Or for example, if we take the example of titration, then in titration what happens when we add sodium hydroxide from the burette into the conical flask, which have already the HCl as an acid. Then by the addition of 2 drops of phenolphthalein, and then we add dropwise sodium hydroxide, pink color is going to appear. So what happens? It is the transformation that first sodium hydroxide is a base and HCl is an acid. But after reacting with each other, they will form the salt, which we are using in our daily life. For example, sodium chloride, which is also known as table salt. So similarly, this is the transformation of their structure. First they are acid and base. Okay? Okay. What do you mean by the energy release or energy absorbed? Acha, you can also try it in your home. You can also try it at your home. For example, when you dissolve sodium chloride, that is your normal salt, into a glass of water, then you can observe it by placing it in your hand that the glass will be warm. Why? Because the reaction is exothermic. Exothermic means the release. That's why this release energy you are observing by your hand. So this is an exothermic reaction. Absorbed energy means endothermic reaction. In endothermic reaction, the energy is being absorbed. For example, sometimes two things are not react with each other for at room temperature, but when we provide the heat to the materials, they will react with each other. For example, if I asked you to dissolve 400 gram of sugar into 1 cup of water, then you can't able to dissolve it, because 400 grams sugar means too much sugar. Some sugar will be dissolved, but some will be remained, as it will be an unsaturated solution. So what we have to do, we will provide heat to the solution. Then what happens? Now the 400 grams of sugar will be dissolved in that water in same quantity of water, due to providing of heat. Due to the heat, it will dissolve. So here we are giving the heat to the reaction to occur fast. So it is an endothermic reaction, or energy is being absorbed in this reaction. So we not only discuss the properties, composition and structure of substances, we also discuss the transformations and energy changes. Now let's move towards the importance of chemistry. But the chemistry, then chemistry is basically help us in many other ways in our daily life. For example, if I talk about the agriculture, then in agriculture they provide us the chemicals which are very helpful to grow the crops more healthy. For example, we don't know what type of fertilizers are used here. Different materials require different quantities of chemicals. So chemistry help us in agriculture. Extraction of metals means basically it is used for making various items like utensils, vehicles, tools, machines, and we know that all that materials are made up of metals. But metals sometimes are found as an ore means when the metal are found in mixed form, combined form. For example, if I talk about the aluminium, then aluminium is not present in a free state. Aluminium is present is potassium or sulfate alum, double salt like na. So when the metals are not present in free state, we have to separate the metals that are useful for us. How we can do this? We can do this by use of extraction. Cosmetics, we know that in cosmetics different types of materials are used. So sometimes we need moisturizer. It depends upon the skin na. If you have dry skin, then you need a moisturizer, so we will provide the moisturizer to your skin by using chemicals. Health, we know that all the medicines are made up of chemicals. Fuels like petrol, diesel, we know that petrol and diesel are all the components of the carbon and hydrogen, and we can use it by distillation of carbon hydrogen components. You will learn in the next chapter, well, coming lectures. Textiles, it also help in for making different colors and dyeing processes like nylon and rayon. Electronics, we can use different chemicals as electronics. You can see in your cells, in your dry cells in your home, at your home, that when you open the cell in the dry cell, why? Because this chemical is very much required. There are basically we require positive and negative charges in the cell, which react with each other and form a flow of electron, that is electricity. Other fields, chemistry is also very important. For example, plastic explosives, polyvinyl chloride is present in the plastic, that is also a chemical. So you can see that how chemistry is important for us. In paper you just need to write only 3 or 4 or 5 importance of chemistry, so you can you can learn in this chart. This chart will help you to learn more easily. So now let's come towards the branches of chemistry. Now here I have a question for you students. What do you mean by the branches of chemistry? See, just like a tree, we know that tree has many branches, but tree wood, or the base on which the many branches are stood, basically is the main fundamental basis. So here the chemistry is the main fundamental basis on which different branches or different fields are supposed to be present. But we have 5 important fundamental branches of chemistry, that are organic, inorganic, analytical, biochemistry and physical. Now let's discuss them one by one. Now let's discuss organic chemistry. Organic chemistry, you know, that is the study of hydrocarbons. To understand the organic chemistry, you should know that what are the hydrocarbons. By name you can suppose that hydrocarbon means hydrogen and carbon compounds. Any compound that is made up of carbon and hydrogen, then you will discuss it in the organic chemistry. So you can simply define it as organic chemistry is the hydrocarbon chemistry and their derivatives too. Up now the question arises, what do you mean by derivatives? Derivatives means like from which one material is formed. Parent molecule, you can say that. So when we derive something from something, okay? So organic chemistry involves the study of structure, properties, preparation of chemical compounds. And chemical compounds means compounds. What type of chemical compounds? It means carbon and hydrogen. For example, petroleum, medicine, food, etc. You can see as that I have told you that in fossil fuels we use carbon hydrogen compounds, but there are too much lengthy hydrocarbon chains are present which can't be used as a fossil fuel. So fractional distillation is performed to separate out different hydrocarbons, and some hydrocarbons are heavy, some hydrocarbons are light, and then the lightest hydrocarbon is used as a fossil fuel. Now let's move towards the branches of organic chemistry. Organic chemistry overlaps many other areas, like medicinal chemistry is also included in the organic chemistry. And we know that in medicinal chemistry we will study about the medicines. On which components our medicines is made up of is basically explained in medicinal chemistry. You can write it by the name of medicinal chemistry. Organometallic chemistry. Organometallic chemistry, we discuss the chemical compounds that are containing bonds between the carbon and a metal. For example, Grignard's reagent. You will also learn the name Grignard's reagent in this class, or I think in the coming class. So in this class you just need to discuss what type of bonds are present between the carbon and a metal, and basically it's just like a covalent bond. Covalent bond is present between the carbon and a metal. For example, in Grignard's reagent, there is a bond that is present between the carbon and magnesium. And we know that magnesium is a metal, so it will be covered in organometallic chemistry. All those type of bonds that are present between the carbon and metal will be discussed in organometallic chemistry. So, in polymer chemistry, we will discuss the study of polymers. But First, you should know that what are the polymers and how the polymers are made up. Basically, polymers are the collection of monomers. You should know what are the monomers. So, monomers means any one unit. Any one unit will be a monomer, and when we combine these units with each other, they will form a big ball like structure or big structure. It is not important, or it is not necessary it will be in a spherical shape. Are you getting my point, students? Basically, it means when the small units, for example, cell is a small and basic unit of any organism, of any living organism. Then in any living organisms, when cells combine with each other, they form a tissue. Just like that, when one unit is combined with another unit, they form a chain like structure or a big structure. Then this big structure will be known as polymers. And you know that everything is made up of basic unit. In organic chemistry, physical organic chemistry also comes. In physical organic chemistry, we discuss the structure and reactivity in organic molecules. And you know that what are the organic molecules, students? The hydrocarbons. Okay, now let's move towards inorganic chemistry. The compounds other than hydrocarbon are included in inorganic chemistry. Simple definition of inorganic chemistry means compounds except hydrocarbons. For example, or if I take an example of sugar, then we know that in sugar oxygen is also present. What is the structure of sugar? Sugar consists of carbon, oxygen and hydrogen. You know that C6O12H6 is the structure of a sugar molecule. So when any other element comes in a compound, then carbon, then it will be covered in inorganic chemistry. Okay, inorganic chemistry, we also discuss crystal structures too, minerals, metals, catalysts, that all are formed other than hydrocarbons or with hydrocarbons. Like if carbon hydrogen is coming, then other element will also come. Now let's move towards the elements or the examples that are included in inorganic chemistry. All elements and metals, materials and chemical reactions. In geochemistry, we discuss the chemical properties and chemical changes on earth materials like rocks, minerals and atmosphere of the earth or as a celestial body. So all those things that are present on earth also undergo in many chemical changes, and these chemical changes will be discussed in geochemistry. Geo means related to earth. When you learn and when you see the geo word, then always remember one thing: geo is related to the earth. Now these are the branches that are included in inorganic chemistry: nuclear chemistry, organometallic chemistry, solid state chemistry. Here, why we are discussing the organometallic chemistry? We have discussed it before this branch in organic chemistry. Then why we are discussing it here? Actually, we are discussing it here because in organometallic chemistry there is not only carbon and metal that is discussing, and but also another element is also discussing, just like halogen. You know what are the halogens? Halogens are the seventh A group member, and they are including chlorine, fluorine, iodine. So here carbon is present with another metal, not hydrogen. So that's why it is discussing in inorganic chemistry. In nuclear chemistry, we study the radioactive substances. But you should know that what do we mean by nuclear? Nuclear means the nuclear part of an atom. If you make a structure of atom, you can see in atom, in the center there is a nucleus, and in the nucleus there is a proton and a neutron. You know that proton is having the positive charge and neutron is neutral. Neutral means it is containing no charge. So this part of the atom of an atom is known as nuclear part, because it is the region where the neutron and protons are present. and we know that protons basically present equal in number, uh, just like electron. Each proton is attracting each electron. So if we have 11 electron, then we would have 11 proton in an atom, just like sodium. And what do you mean by the radioactive substances? Radioactive means the some elements that we are having in periodic table are able to emit some radiations from themselves. For example, if I talk about uranium, then uranium has an ability to emit some radiation from itself. So these type of elements that are capable to emit radiation from themselves are included in radioactive substances. So when we discuss radioactive substances, here is a question: why the radioactive substances are related to the nuclear chemistry? What is the purpose here? Actually, the main purpose is that in nuclear chemistry are emitting from a radioactive substance. Then what happens? The nuclear part is affecting basically in these process, fission or fusion processes. Nuclear part of an atom is affecting, because when the radiations emit, neutrons are also emitting in these type of reaction. That's why the nuclear chemistry is related with the radioactive substances. Now what do you mean by solid state chemistry? In solid state chemistry, the study solid means in this chemistry we will study about the solid materials. Now let's move towards the third and very important branch of chemistry, that is analytical chemistry. In analytical chemistry, we basically discuss the techniques that are related to the quality and quantity of a substance. For example, if I give you a sample and I ask you to separate this sample. If the sample is a mixture, what do you mean by the mixture? When different compounds are mixed together, then they will make a mixture. So if I gave you a sample of a mixture, of any mixture, and I asked you to separate the mixture or separate the different components in this that are present in the mixture, then how you will do that? There are several techniques. So this type of separation techniques will be included in analytical chemistry. So if I gave you a sample and I ask a question, it is pure or not, what you will do? You will take its melting point or boiling point. Melting point for solids and boiling point for liquids. For example, we know that water is a liquid and water has boiling point 100 degrees centigrade. So if I provide you the three different samples of water, sea water and the common water or heavy water, or you can say the hard water, and I asked you to take which of the sample is pure, then you will perform the boiling point. When you will perform the boiling point, you will notice that for pure water there will be 100 degrees centigrade boiling point, and if you take the boiling point of sea water, then it will be different. So by this techniques, by this type of techniques, you can tell about the quality and the quantity of the material. So these all type of techniques that are related to qualitative and quantitative determination of the chemical components of the substances are included in analytical chemistry. In analytical chemistry nowadays, we record our reports in computers, and in computers sometimes we use bars, sometimes we use graphs. So these graphs are also included in analytical chemistry. Why? Actually, by these graphs we can say that this number of material is related to this type of sample. So graphs are commonly used in analytical chemistry. We have different branches that are included in analytical chemistry, like forensic chemistry and environmental chemistry. In forensic chemistry, we deal with the application of chemical principles, techniques and methods to the investigation of crime. When we use chemicals for the purpose of investigation, then it will be covered in forensic chemistry. In environmental chemistry, we deals with the materials that are present in our environment and the effects they are producing on us. So these type of materials are included in environmental chemistry. It relies heavily on analytical chemistry and includes atmospheric, aquatic, and soil chemistry. Now let's move towards the physical chemistry, which is also very important. In physical chemistry, I have told you that we discussed the interrelationship between the structure and the chemical changes. Chemistry that relies on a lot of physics and maths to study the changes in energy that happen to matter is related to physical chemistry. In physics, you can see that you discuss the maths too. So physics is basically related to the maths, and when they both combine together uh, to elaborate the chemistry or any chemical change, then it will be covered in physical chemistry. So you can say that the study of the shape of non-living matter and how that affects matter at the physical scale. So physical chemists basically study the rate of a chemical reaction, and as I told you that the interaction of molecules with radiation and the calculation of structures and properties. Now let's move towards its example, like it involves matter and energy, heating, freezing of materials. What happens during the heating or what happens during the freezing? For example, if you have a glass of water, then its physics will be different, and when you will place it into a refrigerator, then its physics will be changed. So this change you will cover in the physical chemistry, and obviously during the change of the temperature, their molecules have transformed into a new type of state. For example, before freezing the water will be liquid, but after freezing it will be a solid. So this is the transformation, and which we discuss in physical chemistry. Now let's move towards my favorite, biochemistry. Actually I like this biochemistry because bio was my favorite subject and still it is. So I love this chemistry, biochemistry. In biochemistry we discuss the living organism chemistry. For example, if I talk about my body, then we know that in our body there are various materials are present or various chemicals are present. For example, your bones are made up of calcium, so it is also a chemical. If you are taking table salt, you are taking too much chemicals nowadays. So if you are taking table salt or sodium chloride in your body, then it will affect your body. If you take it in too much quantity, then it will cause diabetes or it will cause sugar to you people. So chemistry is simply the chemistry of the living organisms, or the branch in which we discuss the chemicals that are present in your body. So it is very simple to define biochemistry. Now let's move towards its example. In biochemistry we discuss the living chemistry, and we know that in our environment there are various bacteria and there are various viruses which are also affecting our health. So we will also discuss it in biochemistry. In our body, our DNAs, amino acids and proteins are all made up of chemistry. So we also cover proteins, amino acids, DNA, food in biochemistry. And we know that in laboratories or in there are different ways, or there are various ways to make artificial organisms, artificial part of the body, artificial organs of the body. So these organs or any research on any viruses or bacteria are related to the chemicals. So we also discuss in biochemistry. Biochemistry, we have different branches because it is related to the living organisms. So we have a wide range of chemistry branches in biochemistry, like it spans molecular biology, genetics, biochemical pharmacology, clinical biochemistry and agricultural biochemistry. So we have many branches, but here we will discuss only the sub branches. Here are some branches that are different from your book, but I am actually concerning more branches here because I want to create your concepts and I want to develop your interest too. If you take interest in any video or in any branch, then you can write it in your paper. Sometimes they ask only to write some branches of chemistry, Then if you have knowledge, you can not only write any branch of chemistry, but with a concept you can write it correctly. So it is very important to not only learn but to develop your concept. Now in molecular biology we discuss the molecular structure. We know that every molecule is made up of atoms, and every molecule made up a bigger compound. When molecule react together, they form a compound, and when compound react together, they form a mixture. So in molecular biology we discuss in any compound which type of molecules are present, and any molecule is made up of which type of elements. So we discuss the structure of molecules in molecular biology. In genetics we deals with the hereditary processes, hereditary qualities, like some properties are same as your parents. We take some properties of our parents. So this type of changes we will discuss in genetics. Or any variation that is related to living organisms, we also discuss these in genetics. In pharmacology we discuss the medicines, and we know that in medicines sometimes we need chemicals. All of the medicines are made up of chemicals, so it is very important to. But in biochemistry it is actually present, because the study of mechanisms of drug action and the influence of drugs on an organisms. You know that sometimes some bacteria are very beneficial for us, and when these are not present in our body, so what we do, we form them artificially in lab. So when we form them artificially in lab, then we can use them in our body to treat the bad bacteria that are causing a constant illness to our body. Now let's move towards the sub branches of chemistry. We have discussed the nuclear chemistry, and now we will discuss the radioactive decay. I have told you what is a radioactive elements, but here decay is also written. So what do you mean by decay? Decay mean any decomposition of any molecule. For example, if I took the molecule of sugar, and if I break it, or for example, if I break it in different components like carbon, hydrogen and oxygen, you know that when we heat glucose, it will decompose in carbon dioxide and water molecules. So this is the decomposition of a sugar molecule. Actually in radioactive process, when elements emit radiation from itself, they actually decay, they actually decompose, because neutrons are releasing during these processes. So there is a time, after some time, there is a time when the molecule will be decay. So when we discuss these type of decay which occur due to the emission of radiation, we will discuss these changes in radioactive decay. During the radioactive decay, what happens? Basically, the atomic nucleus loses energy by emitting ionization particles or radiation. So these changes we also discuss in the radioactive decay. In industrial chemistry, we discuss the different type of composition of materials, because you know that the industry is the place where we form different materials which are very necessary for us or which are very important for us. When we discuss their structures, for example, soap, surf, or medicine that is forming in industry. So when we discuss different commercial scale or different chemical compounds or commercial scale, so it will be covered in the industrial chemistry. It deals with the manufacturing of basic chemicals such as oxygen, chlorine, ammonia, caustic soda, nitric acid, washing soda and sulfuric acid, and different acids that are very important for us. Note here the topic is ended, or the session is ended. Students, hope you have developed too much concepts about the chemistry. Remembering the thing is the key success, and I think you have that property. When you listen something, then keep these things in your mind. This is the key success. So what you have to do, you have to learn the discussed topics. Learn the topics means you have to take test by yourself about these topics, and if you have any question, then please ask me in the comment section, and MCQs will be shared to you people in the coming videos. So have patience, and please like, share and subscribe my channel. If you are interested to take an online class, then contact me on the given number. So here is the homework. Learn each topic and take test from yourself. And I will also discuss the remaining topics for the MCQs. So don't get worried about the chemistry. If you take it as a load, you will never be succeed in chemistry. So take it like a story or take it like a concept. So okay, we will inshallah meet in the next video, and for that time, bye bye, take care, Allah Hafiz.